Hello, Pastor Greg here. On behalf of myself, Pastor Yolanda, and the Celebration Spiritual Center family, we send our love and our prayers and our light to the city of Charlottesville, Virginia. We send our love and our prayers to those who have lost loved ones in the midst of this senseless violence. We send our love and our prayers to those who have been injured and are recovering. As we look for answers, as we think about the events that have taken place in the United States over this weekend, and really events that have been taking place for quite some time in our country, I'm grateful to the New Thought channel for creating a space where we can have a dialogue, where we can discuss, and for those of us who are part of the New Thought movement, how we can apply the principles and the teachings and the philosophy that we embraced and that we know to be true. How do we apply it to events that many times just go beyond our complete understanding? How do we apply it to just blatant acts of hate and blatant acts of othering and blatant acts of separation and, of course, blatant acts of racism and terrorism in our country? As I was going to sleep last night, the words of a timeless song came to mind, a song that is so familiar to us within the New Thought movement. It's part of our identity. And it's the last line of the song, "Let there be peace on earth." Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. As I heard the words of that song, it issued a challenge, because I believe that this song, at the time that it was written, was in 1955. And when that song was written, of course, segregation was still the law in this country. At the time that it was written, Brown versus the Board of Education was being argued in our Supreme Court. At the time that it was written, we had the Montgomery bus boycott. At the time that it was written, separate but equal was the law of the land. And in truth, in the time that it was written, segregation, prejudice, separation, and othering even existed within our own beloved New Thought movement. And so we recognize that this song and the words of this song is really a call for us to live up to our highest ideals in the same way that the words of our Constitution and the words of the Declaration of Independence are a call for us to live up to our highest ideals. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. What I know to be true is that what we see happening outside of us must be and can only be a reflection of what's happening within each and every one of us on an individual and collective level. The violence that we see taking place in this country, the separation that we see taking place in this country, the othering that we see taking place in this country is simply a reflection of a consciousness, of a way of thinking, of a way of being that in many ways has fostered this country. And so we recognize that in order for the events to change, in order for us to ever experience true and lasting change in this country, we must first take the individual step of allowing peace to begin with us. Now, what does that look like? Because I recognize here and now in this moment that as we are feeling fear, I recognize here in this moment as many of us are just scared and many of us are tired. Many of us just don't want to hear about news of any more violence. Many of us can't believe that this is happening in our beloved United States. How do we even begin to let peace begin with us? And as I think about that, I hear the words from A Course in Miracles. It's the miracle worker's prayer. And I invite each and every one of you, as you are part of this beautiful and beloved New Thought movement, where we recognize that there is only one power, only one presence, only one mind, working in all, through all, and as all, and that presence is good. We call that presence God. I call that presence Mother, Father, God. We know that as source. We call it the universe. We call it that which is in back of and behind all things. We go to that space and that place in our meditation time, in our quiet time, in our time of inner reflection. And we can ask these words from A Course in Miracles. Pray these words. Spirit, what would you have me do? Spirit, where would you have me go? And Spirit, what would you have me say, and to whom? Recognizing that peace begins with me. Recognizing that there's an inner dialogue and an inner conversation that I must have with myself in order to change anything that's outside of me. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? And what would you have me say, and to whom? And from that place, I encourage you to allow an inspired idea to come forward. It may not come forth the first time you ask the question, but I challenge you to be willing enough to ask that question a second time, or be willing enough to bring that question to your meditation time for a second day, and affirm first that peace begins with me. I recognize that. I recognize that I'm part of a conscious whole. And so the peace that I'm seeking, I have to be a part of it. It begins with me. And I ask these questions. You see, the way peace works and the way we ripple out and the way we affect consciousness, it would be as if you and I were in a pool together, and you're at one end of the pool and I'm at another end. Now, if I begin to trouble the waters of that pool and I begin to just move the waters, those waves would begin to ripple. They could be small waves, but they will meet you at the other side of the pool. Similarly, if we don't recognize that peace begins with us, if I don't recognize that I can affect you on the other end of the pool by rippling peace and just allow it to be still, well, that's what our silence looks like. But hear this, when I'm speaking about silence, I am not encouraging, unless it is an inspired idea, for you to march, for you to protest, for you to be out in the world in that way. I'm saying that the inspired idea will invite you to trouble that water. And that ripple will meet your brother, our brothers. Yes, they are our brothers. And our sisters. Yes, they are our sisters. Who, although they believe something to be true about themselves and about even you or I, that isn't true. They are still our brother and sister. But as you trouble the waters, through the peace that is you, you will begin to affect their consciousness. For we are part of a unified whole. My brothers and sisters, I encourage you, as you're asking these questions, I encourage you as you take this into your meditation time, I also encourage you to remember something about where we are in this process. Because what we know to be true is that the rally was actually a rally against progressive change. Taking down the statues and taking down the symbols of a very ugly part of U.S. history is a good thing. And they were rallying against that. And what came to my mind, it sort of reminds me of if you're trying to clean a room or trying to clean your office, you begin to take things out and it actually looks like chaos before it looks clean. It actually is in complete disarray before it comes together into organization. And I submit to you, what if that's what we're experiencing right now? That we're simply seeing and experiencing the disarray, the same disorganization that it can look like in the process of cleaning or clearing out a room or an office. And if that is true, then what I know to be true and what I invite you to hold is that our country will be made whole. What I invite you to hold in your imagination, in your mind's eye, is that we will begin to see the fruits of what we have established oh so long ago, and know that the world that works for everyone is coming online. This is not the time to fear. This is not the time to fret. This is not the time to be in dismay. But this is the time to remember what you know to be true, that there is good and only good. To remember what you know to be true, that we are part of one unified whole. To remember what you know to be true, that we are one in consciousness. And there is absolutely nothing that can stop that oneness from coming into being. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to listen to this message. I love you. I bless you. You are my brothers and sisters, and know that you always have a home with Celebration Spiritual Center. Be well.